So I'm going to talk quickly. Yeah, who am I? If some people don't know me, I am the Borker. So that's me. I'm going to speak a little bit quickly about the performance review of EFL since the release of 1.8. So 1.8 release, I did a lot of benchmark before we did the release of 1.8, and 1.8 was better in memory, speed, and time to first frame than 1.7 by something like between 5 to 10%, depending on what we are looking at. So I have been setting up my system to be able to test EFL and Expedite on all releases of EFL since 1.8. So on my laptop, I have 1.8, 1.9, 1.10, 1.11 in their own tree, and I'm able to play with that. So Expedite is basically the only benchmark we have. That's the only thing we have. So we play with that. So I did a huge change in Expedite a few weeks ago. So now it uses eCore main loop and eCore evas, which does simplify a lot of things in Expedite, and it also means that we can use it much more easily on, for example, Wayland and stuff like that, because we don't have to do another backend in Expedite. It also means that starting from now, we can also add new tests. We can add tests for Edge. We can add tests for elementary. They will work inside of it. So you need times to add this. So right now, I don't have times. I hope people will be, but anyway. So now we can have some interesting things. Other problem is that Expedite is using EO API. So we do have a branch per version of EFL. So there is an Expedite for 1.8, an Expedite for 1.9, an Expedite for 1.10, and 11, and master. So yeah, that is annoying, but anyway. Right now with Expedite, you can basically benchmark speed mostly on two things. You benchmark the backend itself, so how it does push pixels to the screen, and you also do have, for a small amount of cost, on the call, on the EO call, basically, that are manipulating objects, because most applications are not as crazy as Expedite are, but Expedite tests do manipulate a lot of objects and do move them around in all directions, and that does push a lot on the EO call, which are, I should put presentation mode somewhere, I guess. Yeah. I don't know why, but the auto presentation mode is broken somehow, so it doesn't turn off when I have two full screen app. Anyway. So yeah, what I was saying. Yeah, anyway. So we are there for speed now. So with this benchmark, the idea is quite simple. I have been running Expedite a multiple of time on all branch on my laptop, and that's the number, which are worrying a little bit, especially on the software. So on OpenGL, it's very useless because you always get basically 60 or a little bit below 60 depending on the test, and that's it. So that's where it shows the limit of what Expedite gives us as information. On the software side, yeah, it's going down. And that's the problem is I have not been able to run Expedite since the beginning of the year, basically. So I didn't have any time to look at that. So I did start looking at that after the release of 1.11. So that's a little bit boring, I guess, because we have no automated tests there. Nothing. I mean, I'm the only one running it, so nobody pay attention. So yeah. Memory. Oh, the same thing. I just run Expedite under Massive, and I look at what's going on outside. There is nothing for Edge, elementary. I don't know what's going on there. I also don't know much about memory fragmentation, because Massive only reports the raw number of malloc and free. It doesn't tell you how much of the memory is fragmented at the end, which is a little bit annoying. And also, Massive doesn't return any information on mmap. And we are using a lot of mmap area, and they are all out. We don't know them at all. They are not there. We will not see them in our things.
Sorry, but there are different reporting options you can give to Massive, but there's no way to get it?
Mmap, you don't get that one. So we're going fat also. So something happened between 1.9 and 1.10. I have not yet been exactly able to pinpoint what it is. There is a few things like filter that make things a little bit bigger, but it doesn't explain half of the memory grow. So I have to look at it closer. And in master right now it's like 3 meg bigger, and it seems to be related to something going on with font, but I don't know exactly what is going on. I will have to look at that closer before the release, because I can do that also. But there is something going on. Yeah, as I say, yeah, need time. So that's interesting to look at. Oh, and it's going up, and so you have basically the same profile from one to the other. It's just that at the end you end up much higher. Wondering why. Anyway, so the other test is time to first frame. So for Samsung, the startup time of application is quite important. So we are looking at it normally at the production stage. But it will be a little bit better if we anticipate that by looking at it before. The problem is that we don't really have any tests. I mean, the only thing I can do is to do time to first frame for elementary tests and terminology. And that is completely useless on my laptop because my laptop is so overpowered that it's that. So I do run this test under Valgrind to slow things down. But that means that I have no idea if it's any representative of a real use case. It's just a number and a benchmark, and it gives me on
your laptop.
I should have a Chromebook laptop soon, and I will be using that for that purpose. So I should have an ARM Exynos-based device soon to be able to do this kind of setup. But right now, I don't have anything. So that's it. It's going slower also. You can, so the slowdown is also going per release. It's something being added up for elementary tests and also for terminology. For terminology, it's less, it's less visible than for elementary tests. So I don't know exactly what is going on, but I have been looking at it, and it seems to be related to the way we use Edge and EET file. There is an increase in call to one function that is particularly slow to check if the string is part of EET from Edge. And I don't know why we are doing that, but it seems to be calling more and more and more. And because this function is very, it's depends on the number of string in the EET file. So every time you call it, it's really taking a long time. So the more you call it, the worse it gets. So I don't know why, but this is going on. And it shows less on terminology because I guess that on terminology we have less Edge file than on elementary test. So that's why we don't see it as much in terminology. But we see it. So main point is we are slowing down. Nobody noticed. The thing is that we need time to investigate what is going on. We need time for people to, I need time to look at these things, and I have not been doing it since the beginning of the year. And we need also a device to do that. I would really love if we'd have better tool during our development cycle, because we are really going fast on the release cycle. And we should really have some better tool to know when we are slowing down and introducing new patches that are slowing stuff down. Because if you spot the slowness or the memory, the thing that is taking your memory out as soon as you put it in, you get better. You will fix it much faster because you will have someone to be looking at the problem directly. So, but nobody has time. Nothing has time to check this. So. Also, we have limits on the tool. Right now, I am relying a lot on Valgrind, and I have no proof that Valgrind profile are matching the profile of an application when it's running at full speed. So I don't know if the profile is exactly the same when I'm comparing two trusts. I don't know. It's just like, well, it's a number. I can check it down on Valgrind, but at the end of the day, there is no sure link of what it is going on. And also, Valgrind is a little bit blind on a few things. you can't really, it's difficult to, for example, to valgrind a specific part of time. You basically get your trace for the full run, or you don't get anything. And that is very annoying, because you want to, for example, have one set of frames that you want to test, but you don't want to have the startup, you don't want to have the shutdown and things like that. This is not going to work well with valgrind. We also have no analysis on the process wake up. So one of the things that make a power consumption issue is that when you have an application running, it's ticking, and the more it wake up, the more your battery goes down, basically. So you want to have all your wake up together, so that your system wake only at one point and stay and go back into sleeping mode after that. And we have no benchmark there, no analysis. We also have no analysis on the time between you press you send an input and the time you have the result on screen. You don't know right now if when you push the pixel to screen, we are taking into account the input, or if we are waiting for one more frame before we do that. So we have no latency benchmark, basically, which is something very nice, I think, to have. And also, we don't check the result at all. I mean, for Visual Toolkit, why do you check the screen? It's useless to check the output. So yeah, we basically need more time on that. Sadly, I was hoping to have more time, but I will be on other topic. I will talk about that later. So I am not the one going to have time to work on that. I hope that someone will raise his hand and say, I will do it. Otherwise, I will try to get some time too. But yeah, so there is a lot of things to do to improve our performance review, performance analysis on EFL. A lot of things are already in place now. It just need to screw and bolt everything, and I mean, to get things working there.
You should try to use perf. Perf can do a lot of things.
Yeah, but perf is time-based, so basically it takes snapshots. So you can miss things in the middle.
I know, you can miss it, but it's the best thing you have other than valgrind.
Yeah, but at the point you are still blind. Right now, I think that with EO and all the events we have in EFL, if we just were able to do Cluzo for performance, we should be able to inject code into the application with the LD preload and get fine detail on when we enter rendering, when we get an input and stuff like that. And that should be not too difficult to do, just need time. Yeah. Anyway, I have to run because we have a lot of people to talk. Oh, yeah, question.
Can I start clapping now?
Yes, you can. Thank you.